Hello. Connecting. Just give me a moment. Okay, we're live. So Shimvala Ministry. This Sunday, it's been a lot of resolution, and I want to dive a little bit about the energies of this week, the coming process, because we just finished a 3 weeks process that in Hebrew we call the Bein Hametzarim. There was a lot of intensity, and you may feel it, right? It was a lot of pressure, point of a lot of challenge came out, a point of pressure where we feel a lot of intensity, but in reality, it's related with the fall of the second temple, and the temple, if we go within the Kabbalah, refers to the kingdom of Malkut, our own body, our own temple. So in order to rise a new temple, the old temple have to fall. And that was the meaning of these 3 weeks. And it's all related with astrology, with the energies of Leo, that is fire, that is transformation. In these 3 weeks, you experienced pressure. It was because you were getting ready for the coming process that is the Tivav, that is related with resolution, with love, with compassion, with a lot of self realization. So, literally, if you felt a lot of pressure these past weeks, it's because it was preparing you for these new times. And today, we're going to dive deeper into how we can utilize these energies into our life, applying the principles of the Torah and bringing into our life understanding how we can be more in tune with our light, becoming more in tune with our inner truth, our neshama, our higher self, and bringing to this life. And today, I would like to share more about the principles of creation. If we go to the Bible, and we discussed last week about the first verse of the Bible that was Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim haaretz. That means in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. However, we were able to dive deeper into the real meaning of God, and the name that was mentioned there was Elohim. Elohim, that is relating in the aspect of God that creates through constrictions. And if we were created in the image of Elohim, we have the same principles that Elohim to create. So that means that if we utilize the same principles that Elohim create this universe, we're going to be able to tap into the creative mode. And this was the topic of last week. We're going to dive deeper. And I want to dive deeper into Genesis 2. Let me see. Hello. So we're going to dive deeper into Genesis 3. That it says, and Elohim say, let there be light, and there was light. Elohim saw that light, and it was good. And he separated the day from the darkness. Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called it night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. This is the third verse of the Torah. And as you can see, here's the separation of light and darkness, polarities, you know, day and night. We call it morning, we call it evening. So if we go deeper into the understanding, okay, the first action of God was to separate the light and the darkness and see what was good. All was good, however, it was in the space of equanimity, of judgment, of discernment to see the light and the darkness. And it mentioned and create the light, it was the day, and the darkness was the night. We call it morning. We call it evening. If we go deeper in the word morning, we realize that what we do when we wake up. When we wake up in the morning, we are bringing forth a new day, a new awareness, a new stage of our consciousness. Every day is a revelation of light. So when we mention, in the Torah is mentioned morning, yes, it's the morning as soon as wake up, but if we go deeper, it's the process of breakthroughs. How we can see the morning, the sun, every day in our life. How we can tap into that vision and perspective to perceive revelation of light and becomes revelators of light. So that day and night, once we dive deeper in the Torah, applies to our life. That's why it's the third verse of the Bible in Genesis. It's the separation. How we can bring this into our life, we will have to ask, okay, how can I differentiate the light and the darkness? If I want to create a project, how can I differentiate the vision, where I'm moving, what I'm like visualizing for my life in relationships, in vision, in business, in adventures? What are you bringing into light? What are your qualities? Bring all the light into the aspect of yourself and your life that you are aware already. And then the darkness of it, the separation to see, okay, and these are the aspects of myself that are limiting for me to see the light, for me to reveal the light. This is my darkest side. Once we're able to separate, have the discernment to perceive the light and the darkness, we give opportunity for us to create. And this is what was mentioned in the verse 3. The first action of God was the separation of light and darkness. So if we apply it into our life, it will be to go to a point of awareness to see the light and my darkness, to perceive the bring forth of manifestation and what is blocking that manifestation. And what we call the evening is correlated with the creation of life. It's the creation and opportunity to reveal the light into that darkness. Now, if we go to the fourth verse that is related to the waters. So the second action of God or Elohim was okay, and God, no, the bow, okay, and God said, and see something is Bayomer Elohim. God said through the words, meaning that the first action that we take in order to manifest on this reality is through words. Words follow actions. So it's how we can speak through our thinking, through our words, and through our actions. So the vayomer in Hebrew is not just related with the speech, because speech is devar, is related with the actions, the speech, the focus. All of this is the saying of God. Okay? So in the fourth verse, sorry, four, no, sorry. In the sixth verse, it says, and God said, let there be divided between waters to separate water from water. What is this? When when we relate the waters, is the emotional waters. What we can bring here, and we are studying the layers of the Torah, right? There's different layers. We can connect with the gematria. But once we go to the surface and we dive deeper, we can see that if the action of God, the saying of God was to separate the light and darkness, then the second step was the waters, the emotional. Separate water from water. What is this meaning in Hebrew? It's the separation of emotions, the separation of the inner waters as well, of the kingdom, the heavens, the earth, the levels of waters. To detach yourself from those waters and see which waters are with the darkness and which waters are with the light, and which one are attached to each other. How we can apply this to our life is in the Kabbalist way. It's how you are able to separate yourself from your emotions. It's the first step is seeing the light and the darkness. Second step will be more about perceiving the emotional space and detach from that emotion. So you give a space for equanimity, for the observer to perceive creation without attaching to one outcome. Wow, okay, so we can apply this to our life is to see, okay, what is the positive aspect, the negative aspects, the light, the darkness, and let me separate my emotions from the actions that I'm going to take based on what I'm perceiving. Let me separate the waters. And let's see what is the next verse speaking about. So once we go deeper, and this is so interesting. Okay, so God made the vow and separate the waters under the vow from the water above, and it was so. And God called the vow sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. Again, evening and morning. If you go deeper into the meaning of a morning, what will be? When we wake up every day, it's an opportunity for breakthroughs. It's an opportunity for us to perceive life. We wake up, we open the eyes. So when we mention it was morning, it was evening, it was the time for us to an opportunity to pass through breakthroughs. In the in the Taoism, this is called the Satori, the aha moments, the breakthroughs, the mornings when we wake up, when our eyes open, when we are able to see the light, to see the sun, a new day, a new opportunity. And then we have the evening, and the evening will be more related with introspection, integration. How was your day? This allows us to navigate life from a place of knowing. So we have breakthroughs if we're able to follow the prior steps that will be the separation of light darkness, waters, skies, and lower waters in order for us to perceive the mornings and the evenings. So it starts making more sense once we go deeper into these studies. And the second day. And Elohim said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called it seas. And God saw that it was good. And this text, and I'm going to leave it until here for tonight. When you mention land, what is referring here? If Elohim was able to separate the waters, that is emotion, then we go to the land. How you can ground those emotions into something tangible, that is the earth, that is our body. So the body was getting formed. The body is getting formed. So once we are able to separate the emotions, the next step will be seeing what emotion and where is the emotion in the land, in the body. And we separate the body from the waters, and we give the space in the seas for that water to float, and we give the space for the land to be. So there's a space for everything. However, there must be a separation from the land and the waters, the body and the emotions. Once you separate your emotions, you're able to dictate, okay, where is the emotion in my body, in my ground, in my land, in my temple, and how can I put it where it's supposed to be? How can I release it? How can I throw it into the sea? And it was the third day. So in this process, once we follow these steps and principles of Elohim, we allow the deeper breakthroughs, the deeper mornings to flourish. And that's the beauty. You see how everything starts making sense. So let's integrate everything as I share today. Why I'm sharing all of this, and this is the studies of the scriptures of the Torah, is how we can utilize this wisdom into life, bring it into living wisdom. It makes sense, right? Like if we are creators, we were made in the creation, and we were created in the image of Elohims, God creators. It makes sense for us that if we follow the principles and the steps of how they create this universe, we're going to be able to create in our life. And everything that I said, as you can see, it says Elohim said, Bayomer Elohim. It was created through speech, actions, and words. It was said into existence. And these saying have different layers. The first step was, if you want to manifest something in your life, we want to manifest a deeper connection with ourselves, with the path of knowing thyself, the path of beauty, how we can perceive, and this is where we bring discernment. Elohim, if you find the translation, also is the judge. How we're able to bring the judge not from the space of prejudgment, like imposition of your own perspective over the others, but be able to have a biased perspective and have the discernment to take the best decision through the judgment that you create. And the word judgment is law, is justice. It's not the concept that we carry based in this programming of self judgment. That will be more self sabotage, prejudgment, sabotaging our perspectives based in our memories and stories from the past. But once we're able to change that and we tap into creative mode, we judge and we discern to see what is good, what is bad, the light, the darkness, positivity, negativity, separating the sky and the earth, the light and the darkness, the day and the night. So, how we can apply into our life to make it tangible? Which aspect of your life you know and you're certain that you have the qualities, the connection, that you're good at it, that you have the light, the support, all the accomplishments, all the lessons, all the experience, all the expertise, all the revelation of light in your life that can serve you to serve something higher, and it's light and it's bringing more light into your life, in your spiritual journey, in your personal journey, relationship, adventures, service, sharing. And if we go to the darkness, which are the aspects of our life that is hard for us to see, to change, and in some way are blocking the light, are blocking our perception of light? This is what we call the tikkun. This process is the process of correction. We start correcting, revealing that light through that darkness. But first, we must have the ability to detach from the um, first person perspective and go beyond the third person and separate, I am these qualities, I am these qualities, the whole is me, this is my darkness, this is my light. How I'm able to find the balance, and this in Kabbalah is the path of beauty. That if you see the tree of life in Kabbalah, it's Tifareth, the path of beauty. It's the connection with the strength, darkness, and light combination, because a Kabbalist is able to perceive light in darkness. As we come from oneness, that oneness allows us to dive deeper into the light in the darkness. So that was the verse that we mentioned. And then goes the waters. If I'm able to separate the light and the darkness within myself, now how can I even go deeper and detach myself from the emotions and attachment that I create in that darkness and in that light? The ego, the personalities, the identities that I create in that light and then create specific emotions. That's why the sage says that the highest space for us to evolve is the space of equanimity. This is a space where you are able to perceive excitement and don't like allow it to flow through you, but don't attach to that excitement or pain. You don't attach to that pain, you let it flow through you. Find that place that it's what in Vipassana is mentioned, the quanimous state, the middle path, where life passes through you but doesn't define you. The good, the ups and downs, you are just in a constant overflow of observance and remembrance and understanding the light in the day and in the night. So, separation from that identity that I create in the light. The accomplishment is an experience of myself that I gain to the remembrance of my soul. And also in the darkness, those stories, though that past, it doesn't represent me anymore. It's not me. It was part of the experience, but I'm able to have the discernment to detach any emotions, memories, belief that I have about that darkness and be able to see it from that observant. And then we go deeper into the separation of the land and the waters, the skies and the earth. So Elohim separate from the skies, the mental space, and the physical space, the lands, and the water overflows through the oceans. What will be the sky is related with the mind. How can I detach any stories that I create from the light and the darkness? How can I detach myself from the emotions through my waters, through the oceans? And where is it in my body? That's why when we tap into somatics and people that have experienced in the past, traumas in the past, contain it in the body is the first representation of that manifestation in the waters. So for us to separate those waters is to separate where is that water in my land and how can I move it in the right space for that water to flow. That will be the emotional side. Hmm. You see? So it's understanding the process from which the energies of light flows. And I'm gonna share a little bit more for now. And again, this is helping us on understanding our own process of life. Okay, and then God say, let the land produce. Okay, so then if you realize after we separate the lands, the seas, the skies, the next action of Elohim was, then God or Elohim said, let that let the land produce vegetation, seed bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed on it. What is this meaning? What is the seeds? Seeds. Seeds, the word seeds, it's related with creation. Even in masculine and feminine, the man plant the seeds into the woman for life to flourish. The seeds are related for creation. Let there be creation. So this we know that the fourth day, the fourth day. Let me see. No, sorry. This was the third day. Sorry, my bad. It's in the same date. In the third day, number three, is the process of creation. Once you are able to separate your lands, the waters, the skies, the next step will be plant the seeds. Let there be vegetation. That's the space where you can plant the seeds because you are in complete uh, equanimous state for you to make the right decision. So this helped me personally to define myself and to take actions in projects in aspect of my life that I want to reveal the light. This is the process of revelation. After you separate, like all mentioned before, the next step will be plant the seeds. Only when you did the past two steps, and this one will be the third step, the third day, is when you are able to plant the seeds, when you're able to plan ahead the vegetation of your body, because now you're detached of the shelf of the perception that you have about yourself based in the light, based in the positivity or negativity, based in your perception, and have a clear discernment to see which seeds you wanna plant, which kavana, that means intention. From which intention are you planting that seed? If we follow this space and these steps, this is how we can manifest in our life. This is the process from which we can learn, and this is the process from which the Kabbalists learn to manifest, to understand the inner temple, the inner kingdom. I must separate light and darkness, always seeing from the higher mind of all is God. I'm just here constricting creation, like discerning creation, like putting, okay, that's light, that's darkness, that's the waters, this is the waters that are attached to that light, this is the waters that are attached to that. So now this is my land inside, there's all of these waters, let me move it, let me see the sky, how's my mind. Okay, so I detach from identities and all the layers, and then, okay, my intention is to plant these seeds. Okay, I must act from that space. I must reveal the light in that way. And to share that, that's what the Kali says, pause, what a pleasure. When we're able to pause, integrate, bring the observer, and ask the deep question to see what is the light, what is the darkness in this situation. These people, this person triggers something in me. What is the light? What is the darkness? What are the waters? What is affecting my body? Which seed can I plant to reveal the light? So this process is the process of Elohim, of creation, where you're springing into the flesh. Interesting. Okay, so let's close it with the live revelation. In the live revelation, it's how, and this is like a challenge, a practical tool, how we're able to cultivate awareness when we react. We're constantly reacting in our life. We live in an external world, the Yatsiniot, how we can bring in into internal, how we can live from internal, how we can live from a place of asking questions as a Kabbalist. Let me ask question. What a beauty to reveal the light while I'm diving in myself, in knowing thyself, in knowing God, asking deeper questions, bringing this mystical aspect of myself, this remembrance that there's something deeper within myself. And if I understand, and this is Vina, in the tree of life, this is how we are able to remember God, is through the understanding in living wisdom, in experience, in asking questions. Every question that we ask, it's a revelation of that light. It's a restoration of that light. We're able to restore that light from darkness, from distortion. So the question will be, how can I cultivate such awareness that I become a present and have the ability to observe my reactions or my proactions? I'm not ruled by my reactions, but now I am the one that takes full responsibility of my actions, of my speech, of my thoughts. Following this, that's why the Torah in the Zohar have all of these decipher, and explain. Once we go deeper, we're able to bring this wisdom into our life, living wisdom. Okay? Hope that this serve you. See you in the next Sunday, where we're going to dive even deeper into the wisdom of Kabbalah, Torah, Bible, from open space. You know, that's the most important thing. Shalom, shalom. See you. And let me close with a prayer. Let's close with a prayer. A prayer for resolution. We are entering in a space of love. The energies of Tibaf, it's an energy of love. It's an energy of resolution. So these coming weeks are a lot of resolution, a lot of revelation. So let's pray for that. Hashem, Creator Elohim, may guide my vision. Grant me the strength to grant me the strength to see beyond illusions. Grant me your mind to create as you. Grant me your heart to feel creation as it is. As I walk through life, as I come as a reflection of you, let me remember who am I and why I came here. What is my purpose? What is my revelation? May these coming days be a revelation for my life. May I see a morning as an opportunity of breakthrough, and may I see the evening as an opportunity of integration and reflection. May I create judgment for me to perceive the light and the darkness, the discernment to choose wisely, and to bring forth new seeds as I am aware of my waters, of my lands. As I say this, let it be, and so it is. Leolam, Amen. Many blessings to you, to your family. Let's walk in beauty. Let's walk in